She gave her last coin, and he looked at her like someone who'd been waiting his whole life for that one small mercy. Someone in the market whispered that he'd been seen in a mansion's service door. She fought until it led her to a man who wore rags and ordered crates like a captain. Her question cut through the crowd, and it changed what they believed. They say people who give from hunger give the truest kind of love. It was that kind of dusk when Ama saw him, under the bridge by the main market, wrapped in rags and leaning against a pillar like an old forgotten story. He smiled with a face that had known games and hunger both. His eyes held a kind of quiet that made trouble sit down for a while. Ama hesitated only for a breath. Her purse was thin that month, rent already heavy in her mind, but the bowl in his hands looked like it had not known food for days. She opened the little coin purse her mother had sewn into her skirt and dropped the only coin she had, a single naira, into his palm. The coin was small and cold, but when he looked up at her, his smile spread like sunrise. "Bless you," he said, and his voice sounded kinder than the market itself. Ama was a laundress's daughter and a good student of the night shift. She worked the river linen through the hours most people slept, and then she walked the long way to class with tired shoulders and fresh courage. She had been taught to keep her head down, to plan, to save the few coins that meant tomorrow might be easier than today. But giving that coin felt right, like closing a thorned wound with her own hand. The beggar, he called himself Nuru, watched her go as if he had never seen the city give at all. He did not follow. He did not ask for more. He simply tucked the small coin into his torn shirt and watched the lanterns bloom across the market. Word in the city travels faster than smoke. By morning, Ama was teased at school, the hard-working girl with the worn shoes who threw money to drifters. Her friend Lottie mocked with the cruel sweetness of someone who wants to belong to a better life. "Why throw away your rent?" He looked like he'd been pretending. Ama only shrugged. "People say the city makes thieves of your kindness. Others say it makes saints of your stubbornness." Ama slept uneasy that night because a voice in her head wondered if she had been foolish. She did not know she had touched a story that would not let go. A week later, Ama passed the bridge again, and the same man sat there. But this time a group of boys surrounded him, trying to wrench a blanket from his lap. Nuru's calm broke with a sudden spark. He stood quick and small and fought not with anger, but with a fierce softness that surprised Ama. The boys scattered when the market vendors shouted, but not before one of them spat a word that cut clean through the air. "Why pretend? You look like a well-fed man under that cloth." The word made Ama stop as if a fishbone had slid into her throat. She did not know why those words mattered. They were simply a passing street vindictiveness. Still, later that night, she found herself walking to the edge of the bridge without meaning to, drawn by the feeling that something important had been left there. When she reached the place, Nuru was sitting with a small fire of broken crates. He smiled, not surprised to see her. "You came back," he said. "You are a kind heart." She sat beside him, the air between them warm with quiet. They began to talk. First, small things about the street, the sky, the way the river smelled in the evening. Ama learned that his name was not really Nuru, but that he liked it for its light. He told her how he had been in the city longer than any of them, how he had been a son once in a house with a mango tree and a mother who hummed while she cooked. His stories were ordinary miracles, work, loss, the small theft of hope. Ama felt a strange tenderness for this man who had known worse winters than most men in the market. As days turned into weeks, Nuru kept his distance yet returned to the bridge every other night, and Ama found reasons to walk farther home. They read the way other people breathed by their voices alone. He helped her carry a heavy sack of rice. She slipped him a little stew when she could. Love in the city grows quiet sometimes, like a small plant under a roof, unnoticed until it blooms. Ama's laughter came back in small pieces, and even the tears weighed less. She told him about her plan to finish night school and to one day open a small shop where people would bring clothes and not worry about stains. Nuru listened and clapped his hands softly, as if the dream had brushed his own ribs with light. But the city never leaves things clean. One morning a rumor pricked the market like a porcupine. Someone had seen Nuru step into a luxury car, dressed in a coat that did not belong to his skin. He had sat with a man who was not a peddler, and the man had spoken to him like an equal, with the ease of wealth in every vowel. The rumor spread. "Nuru is a thief. Nuru is a liar. He pretends to be poor to steal sympathy." Lottie's words were sharp again. "You gave your coin to a faker, Ama. He played you." The crowd's eyes turned like a slow tide, and Ama felt the blood drain from her face. Nuru had never told her to give. He never put on a show. If he had lied, then the smallest honesty she had kept all month, the coin and the warm stew, meant nothing. Rather than shout, Ama walked to find him. She found him under a different bridge, hands clasped on his knees, his head bent. He looked up when she arrived, and the city's rumor had left a thin shadow under his eyes. They said you wear suits sometimes, Ama said, not accusing but searching like someone that needs a bone found. Nuru's smile was sad then. People say a lot. They will always make stories to fill their mouths. But Ama couldn't shake the hurt. If you have a house and a coat, tell me. If you only wanted my coin because it made you feel gold, say so. He reached for her hand slowly, like a man trying not to spill a bowl of water. I have nothing and everything in the same breath, Ama. I am not the rich man your city says I am. I am a man who wanted to know if someone would give without the promise of being saved. Ama should have felt relief, but the rumor was quick as fever. It made her see shadows where there were none. She left him by the bridge and walked home under a sky as pale as a word. That night she realized how cheaply trust could be taken. She also realized the cost of jumping to judgment. She sat up in bed thinking of Nuru's hands around her coin, warm and real, and wondered how many times the city had made people small with a single sentence. 2 nights later, the market woke to a different kind of noise. A commotion at the river's edge where charity dinners were held, and men in clean shoes came to sit on folding chairs. A fancy car, the kind with curtains in the windows, had been parked oddly at the river bank, and the mayor's assistant had arrived with policemen. A wealthy businessman named Ayaan, the one who built the new market wing and had donated to the hospital, was there speaking into his phone with a voice like a bell. Yes, bring everything. I want every blanket, every mattress. There's a camp on the other side where they need it. People gathered intrigued. Ama pushed through to the front and froze. Nuru, the beggar, the man who ate from her small stew, was standing next to Ayaan like he had always belonged to such gatherings, directing crates, telling drivers where to place coffins. He moved with authority they had never seen on his rags. Ama felt the floor tilt. She would have laughed if her ribs did not ache. So it was true, she thought. He is one of them. But the look Nuru gave her was not triumph. It was something heavy and clear. Later, as the sun dipped red behind the market, Ama found him alone stacking blankets against a wall. She approached slowly. He did not hide the sudden flash of wealth. He did not make a show of it. He simply met her eyes. I was poor once, he said. When I left home, I took a vow. I told myself I would never be pitied again. I learned the language of markets and money. I earned it piece by piece. But the wealth never filled the hollowness I had left behind. Ama bit her lip. So, the car and the boxes? You could have called me, told me. Nuru's hands lifted in a small, helpless gesture, because I wanted to see if someone would give when they did not expect anything back. I came back to the streets pretending not to have what I had, to walk into the place I used to know. I wanted to witness someone's heart. You gave a coin even when you needed it. You left a stew even when your pockets were thin. I wanted to meet someone like you. He stepped closer, the city noise wrapping around them like a curtain. Ama, I am not the man who fooled you. I am a man who wanted to find you without the shadow of gold in between us. She looked at him for a long time. The market's lights blurred and grew soft in her vision. Then she laughed. A small release that sounded like rain. So you are rich enough to buy blankets, but poor enough to sleep under bridges? She teased, but her eyes shone. You mean you wanted to test me? Nuru nodded. I am tired of being loved for what I have. I wanted to know if someone could love the man who served porridge and sold newspapers. The one who could wrong and be forgiven. He took her small hand in his own, the same hand that had held her coin. Ama, the coin you gave was a promise I kept. I wanted you to find me without knowing the name on my bank book. The twist landed like a drumbeat. He had wealth, but chose to live as a shadow to find a heart that would give with no ledger attached. But this time, the surprise did not sting. It warmed. Ama could not pretend she had not wanted a man who was honest with his hunger. And now? She asked, voice thin. What now that I know? Nuru's face softened like bread in the oven. Now I ask you, will you take this life with me, both cold nights and warm kitchens? Or will the rumor and the market keep you from our small truth? Ama thought about the laundry she would leave, the night classes she had promised to finish, the mother who counted coins like prayers. She thought of the times she had walked past him and felt something like home. Then she smiled the way the day breaks. "I'll come," she said simply, "but I will not be anyone's charity." They built a life that was not perfect but honest. Nuru kept his business sense for good, buying blankets for the winter markets, and opening a small stall where Ama sewed and mended for people who could not afford clean clothes. The city murmured at first. Did she marry a rich man? Did she fall for a trick? But when they saw how Ama laughed and how they both gave back, the whispers slowed. People noticed that the coin she gave had been returned 1,000-fold in kindness. The lesson the market learned, late and warm, not every man with a rag is poor, and not every man with a suit is kind. The best wealth is the one that does not expect to be thanked. Ama and Nuru did not need a crown or a title. They needed only the kind of stubborn love that keeps promises. If you watch this and remember anything, let it be this: give when you have little, and you will learn what others would hide with their pockets full. The city kept its secrets, but it could not keep this one. Sometimes the smallest coin buys the truest life.